Every writer has a specific genre they write in. Well, most of us know about that, but breaking that stereotype, today we have among ourselves Mr. Ajay Pal, who is a scriptwriter and a storyteller, and the author of his book Areli and the Grandmother's Magical Garden. He is known for his works in screenplay writing in US, UK, Australia, Indonesia, and other countries. His screenplay diary was a haunting horror short film that left the audience spellbound, ranging from short films to feature films to folklores. He has left a global and local impact in all our hearts. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. So,
Well, it was a nice introduction actually. And Purvi, again, if you can call me Ajay, it will be great.
sure, sure.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ajay, for joining us today. Uh, can you tell a little bit about yourself and
Okay,
how
so mhm.
how has your experience been
Experience in Mumbai or what?
in writing? How has your experience been traveling through different genres of writing?
Okay, so I come from Delhi. I born and brought up in Delhi, and I was there for like 26 years. I was doing sales for 6 years. Then I started my own company. So total 7 year experience in sales. But then I moved to Mumbai because I wanted to, writing is not something I chose. So it was a decision I made unconsciously. And when I arrived in Mumbai, I started writing. It start with I think every field start with their mistakes and errors. So I started also doing so. It took me 2 or 3 years just to understand what I actually want to write. So because writing is a vast field, it has so many things. Like as you mentioned also earlier, it has theater plays, screenwriting. Even right now there are some storytellers, audio books. So there are a lot of different genres in writing. So first thing was to understand what I want to write. So when I arrived in Mumbai, Mumbai is known for movies and films. And so I started this. I met with few people and they told me. So first 2 or 3 years, I was just learning things about writing. And it's been a good experience, good in case it's a new experience. So whenever I write, see, I was say in sales for 7 years and I felt that repetition in my jobs. You go to office on Monday and you return on Monday to Friday. You have a same kind of job, same target, same clients. But when I arrived in Mumbai, there was not a single day which has been same. You always write something new. You always read something new. So one thing is I like about writing or about films that it's always a new day. So you learn. So that makes me so excited. So that's the thing. Writing makes me, that new thing that whenever you wake up, you have new things to do. So this thing makes me so excited and so curious. So that's why I chose this way, and it's been a great journey so far. I call it a journey instead of some field. So yeah, it's been a great journey.
That's great to hear about. So, as you said that there are different genres and there is script writing, there is screenplay writing. So, how did you come to know that this kind of writing, like screenplay writing, is for me or novel writing is for me? How was that journey for you?
Actually, I started writing when I was in my school days. So I started writing with journals. So I used to write every day what happened, whatever happened with me, I start to write, and it happened for 3 years. So I was writing every day journal, 365s in a year, and I did it for 3 years. Then I went to college, then I went to this job, and everything was changed. But then and during this time, I keep reading things. I keep reading novels, and I keep reading other stuff also. Films or screenplay not in my mind, like never. But so it happened like when I used to work in a company. I remember there was one of my friends, his name was Vivek. He was so interested in theater, and one day he told me, Ajay, I want to go to Mumbai. And for me that time Mumbai was so new. I have been in Delhi, but I didn't listen that way of Mumbai. He told me that Mumbai is all about films and everything. So he went there, and he worked some in some serials and things there. And one day I called him. I remember I called him, and I have no idea, what I gonna do there. I just want to leave this company, leave this office, and leave this thing, because I was so bored in this thing. This repetition made me realize, Ajay, you can't pursue your life like this way. So I made the decisions. I called him and I asked him, "Hey, Vivek, where are you?" So he told me, "Ajay, I'm in Delhi, but tomorrow I'm going for Mumbai." At a sudden, I asked him, "Can I join you?" And he must be thinking like I'm kidding. He said, "Yeah, please come. I leave tomorrow in the morning. I have this train." I don't remember the train name. So he told me this, and next morning I arrived with my bag. So he was shocked, like, "Ajay, are you really here?" And I told him yes. But for that, it took me, I think, for 12 or 13 hours, I was all thinking, should I go or not? Then the second thing, how I confess my family, because, in their eyes, I was doing well, like working good, having things which people supposed to have, and I was doing good. So then I told my mama that, "Mama, I'm going to one trip." So I lied. First time I lied to her that I'm going to one trip, and please pack my bags. Mama packed my bag for 1 week trip, and I went Mumbai like this way. So I remember when I first boarded this train, I didn't have this train ticket. So as like filmy style, I boarded this train without a ticket, although we got the ticket later from the TC. And we arrived in Mumbai. He used to live with 5 people. It's a one room kitchen. So it's a very small 10 by 10 room. And there was already 5 people living there. So I was the sixth person. And it's a very small room. But because it's so refreshing. So I felt good. And then I didn't have any plan how to do things. I just spent few months like this there. I did nothing, I remember. And one of the roommates, he used to create those short films, like 5 minutes, and he used to call them vines. And he told me, think that, Ajay, if you are interested in writing, you can write some of them for us. And that's how I started writing, and that's how the diary happened, my first short film. So I think it happened, maybe if the people I chose, or maybe it accidentally I met the people. If they were some different field, maybe I choose different field. But they were the people who were creating for YouTube's. So that's how I started my life. So I didn't have any plan that I gonna write for films or I gonna write for theater, not like this. But yes, as the opportunities came in my way, I just keep choosing one and another. So it's kind of journey, one step by step. I didn't choose screenwriting, I didn't choose films, nothing. I just remember I went to Mumbai, and that's all, and things unfolded by itself. So I just playing my part.
Yeah,
So that's it happened.
that's completely true. Uh, I think one of the questions that strike me through your explanation of your journey was the part how collaborations and partnerships played an important role in your life. So, do you think
Hmm.
that a part of your experience also tells a lot? A part of your experience is shown a lot in your writing. For example, how you write screenplays, how you got your first idea of writing diary, and how you approach
Hmm.
towards wines writing. So do you think that the partnerships and collaborations, they played an important role in guiding you forward?
Yeah, for sure. I agree for this. Like when we don't know what to do, you need guidance, and it comes with collaboration. So he asked me, if he that guy didn't ask me that you should write about YouTube or something, I didn't write. So he asked me, and he gave me certain things that, Ajay, we don't have those budgets. So he told me, we have only 2 actors. They both were roommates, and he told me we have to shoot it one day. It should be, so he gave me some restriction, you can say, and some things like one location. He gave me some that we have 2 characters, we have to shoot in that period, we can't use that much props. So he gave me certain things, so I have to write. So when you got certain things, you know you try to create a story in certain things. Like I can't use 3 or 4 people because we have only 2 people, so I have to write something within 2 people. Then we didn't have a location, so we only had one room. So I used this one room, and then he gave me other things also, so for sure. And also he told me, when we write for a screen, we have to because it's a visual medium. So whatever you are thinking, audience should see it. So how you convey these things. So he told me few things, and for sure, so collaboration is so important, because when you don't know anything, you need something, you need some task to achieve. So yes, he gave me that task. So collaboration has been always, it's a great journey with me. And I think the person you are, it's because of your collaboration, because of how you met with the people and how you do things. So I agree, this is the most important thing, is how collaborate you with people and what kind of people you collaborate. So yes.
That's completely true. I agree with you. And as you said that while writing, you know that a appearance, a visual thing is very important for your audience. So can you tell us more about how you make that visual appearance, how you keep that in mind, and how you capture the work in a way that it's different from other forms of writing, like it's different from theater, it's different from a novel. So, since
Mhm.
I'm a very avid reader, so I would say that when it comes to reading a novel, it looks different to me because the details are more wide. The details are written so that you can imagine something. And when it comes to theater,
Exactly.
the details are restricted to a set, a particular set. But when it comes to
Yeah.
screenplay writing, you can explore various options, like as you said, depending on your budget and everything. So, since you have written a lot about in different genres of writing, so how would you suggest that we get a framework of how particularly we should get into the screenplay writing?
Okay, so you are asking me about how to start it or how to write this today, because so if you
So,
can tell me
yeah,
this
yeah.
better.
Yeah, sure. So how we can start about it? How we can start about the screenplay? Like if I have an idea in my mind, how do I put it into the visuals that it's a screenplay?
Mhm. Okay.
Yes.
So I think it's every story start with a motive, you know. So when you write something, it has motive. Whether you are writing a play or you are writing short story or you are writing for audiobook, everything start with a motive. So when I write, so I think writing for me in a two way. Even in screenplay, first when some client offered me, so he asked me here, Jay, we have certain audience. So when I work for a client, I work differently, and when I work for myself, I work differently. I tell you how. So when I work for a client, so I ask few questions to him that what is our targeted audience, like whom we gonna cater. So he tells me, Ajay, that our audience is this kind of, like this age to this age. Then I ask the next question, the budget, because budget is so important. When you write screenplay, you have to understand the producer budget, because suppose he asked me some story and I mentioned some bikes or some supercars, but he don't have that budget. So for that, I have to ask certain things, and one of them is budget. So I ask in front that what is your budget, and after budget, I ask him about the actors also, that how many actor we can afford and what's your budget for actors also. Then locations also plays a major part, and there are, I think, 5 to 6 parameters. So first, I guess, the audience, what audience we gonna cater. Then second thing, the budget, what budget we have. And then the locations is also important, then the characters is also important. So there are few things I ask them, and then after that, the things started, so that's then my work. So suppose I remember, there was, I just give you one example so it's easier to understand, no? So one client, it was client from Scotland, and he asked me, Ajay, we want one feature film. It's a horror feature film, and we have certain things. So he told me they have one castle for shoot, and they have that certain, that time he told me he have that $1,000 budget
Okay.
for this movie, and he has that few friends, 5 friends, and he wanted me to have these friends in the main characters. So he gave me certain things. He told me it's a horror film, so we are catering the audience, some youth audience. Then he told me that we have this castle with a lake and everything. So I have to be, so when I start this writing, so I have few things. The story should be in castle, we have this 5 character. Then what I do, you give those artists or these cast the characteristics, like what they do. So we started doing, so one of them was influencer, one of them was gym freak. So they all were doing some different kind of work. So once you determine the characteristics, then you move further for the story. And as you ask me that how your story can be different from others, so for that, you research is also important part in screenwriting. So once you get your things, like you know your audience, you know your things, then you start researching the things. Like if my audience from village, I can't talk about the people from living in metros and everything. So you have to understand your audience first. So once we understand the audience, so then I started researching about the Scotland horror and how what kind of horror they have. So because in Indian horror there are different kind of people, so their mindset is different, their fear are different. Horror comes for fear, and in here we have different fear, and those countries we have different fear. So I started researching about those. So research is also important part. And one more thing is the formats. I think format is so simple things, you don't follow it, just once you learn one time, it stays with you forever. So format, more I think most of the college or college or kind of workshops teaches you about this format, but format is very simple things. And right now so many software like Final Draft and Celtex, they already have this inbuilt format. So you don't need to learn about these formats. You have to learn about the things, like about it comes. And you don't think for how we can get it a new story. You just think, if you are in this position, if you are in this world, because every time you have a different world. So I just feel that if I am one of the characters, because story it has point of views, no? One lead character is there, so the story, like if we talk about Harry Potter, so it's all about the Harry's point of his story. So even if you are following one person or two-person, you are following one's journey. So
Okay.
when the location is changed, things change. So every story is a unique story in that way.
Definitely so. And as you were saying about character development and basically, so one of the core difficulty I face while writing is how the character should be developed. Like, whenever I'm developing characters, I am sitting down, listing a lot of things that came through my research and what I want the character to look like. But still, somehow it falls flat when it comes to the actual writing part. So, can you elaborate a little bit about character development and how you go through the process?
Character development, I think it comes with the real life, like the person you are with. Maybe the characters can be inspired from your roommates, can be inspired from your family or your society. So I don't create something out of out of nowhere. Every character in my story, it comes from my real life experiences. It can be my friends, it can be my family, the people I met. So so I think writers, I was reading something that writers work more on the observation. So what you observe the people. So that what I do most is observe the people. So writing this character development is comes with these things, like in real life scenarios. So I remember when I was writing one story, there was one character who's scared a lot of things, like who is scared of water, who is scared of ghost and everything. So I had this one roommate, and who was, kind of similar. So I think character development in my case, I take from my original life with my friends or families. I don't follow certain things. Yeah, there are things you can follow, but in my way, I think it comes with the real life. So if everyone is a different person, if you see no one is like, they have their fears, they have their stand, they have their other things. So I think the real life is play a major part in when you choose your characters. So I just put whatever I feel this way. And also it's very simple. Suppose I am a different kind of person, so I'm writing about two friends, so maybe one should be like me, but the other one, how you gonna think about that person, because he's totally different to you. in that case you can think about some other people, you spend some time with. So in my case, I take references from my friends and other people which I met.
Definitely. I feel that observation is an important part when you are a writer. It comes throughout. And as you were telling about how, like, how you go from research to know about different clients and what should work for them. So, since you have worked with many international clients as well, how do you decide that shift in different cultures and different landscapes? Like, there must be a different in culture when it comes to writing international and when it comes to writing global. So how do you adapt to that change?
I think the first thing which brought me in Mumbai was the change. As I told you, when I was doing this job, it was so repetition. So that thing really excites me. So whenever I got this new client from, another part of the world, it makes me excited. Suppose once I was writing for one client who was from Indonesia. So see what happens once clients approach you and he asks you few things that I want to write you this story. So it's a challenge, it's in itself. So you have to answer them that you want to do this work or not, and you don't have experience in certain things because I never read about Indonesia, I didn't watch any movie, so it's a challenge for itself. But that's the beauty. And it's not like if you do something you can get fail or you can get pass. What I feel is either you earn something or either you learn something. It's not a failure in my way. So when I do something, it's not like if I'm writing something it would be great or something like this. But I make sure if I'm writing something, it makes me excited. And if I'm not earning in a way, maybe I'm learning. So I just try it. So yeah, when you work for different things, you have to do something, like writing your craft. So it's like a partnership with you and your partner. So like writing gives you so many things, so you have to give it back. And how you can give it back? You can give it back by doing research, you can give it back by doing preparations and make yourself capable to work. So I think craft equally require a lot of things. There is a saying in books that says a good book can't sell itself. So you have to work for that. You have to do marketing, you have to
Mm.
do a lot of things. Same with the writing craft also. So when I get a new work from different kind of part, first it makes me excited, then second it makes me nervous. So what I do for this, I prepare myself. And preparation comes in a different way. One of them, you can read about those culture, you can read about those cities, what you gonna, those characters. You can research the audience, what they're gonna like. So when I was writing this Indonesian story, I started watching few Indonesian movies, that what kind of taste they have, the audience they have, what kind of love story they like. So I did the research, and client love this story. But yeah, this thing is happened. So when you write for different people, different culture, first it makes you excited, but also it makes you nervous. And that's the beauty of writing. If it's not making you excited, not making you nervous, the fun is not here. So this things makes me both excited and nervous at the same time. But you have to prepare yourself, because this is your partner, writing is your partner here. And it is like if you have to take something from writing, you have to give it back in a way.
I think
So I think
that
this is the part.
yes. So I think that is one of the reasons why you shifted from sales to writing, and why most of the people who imagine themselves as writer turn writing from their passion to career, because that change is extremely important. The question that was I was going to ask you was basically that you said that while writing there is a particular format that needs to be followed, but you don't have to actually follow it. You can learn about formats from here and there. So can you suggest like a few sites that can provide you with the format, like where you can learn about the format basically?
Okay, so I think Final Draft is one of them, although
Okay.
it's a paid software, and there is one Celtex. So what they do, they just whatever you write, they just format in a way. So suppose what happened when you write first line, it called log line. So it has this interior. exterior, then it has this location and day or night. Then it comes to the action. So it's a random thing. First, before those software, we have to do it manually. But after those software, you don't have to do anything. You just keep writing. And this software, what they do, they make your writing automatically in this format. So yes, in a screenplay, we have to follow certain format. It's important because, when you write a script, it has to go over 100 or more people, because writing is all about you have to shoot it, and in shoot there are more than 200 people in one shoot, so it has to go through the DOP, it has to go through the assistant director, then the actor, so it has to have in certain formats. Yeah, but I think it's not that big task. In starting I faced this problem because I didn't know how to do this, so I just keep writing. But then one director told me, Ajay, you have to follow this format because it's easier for us to understand, so you can't write just anyway. So yeah, maybe I did it this by myself. I mean, for the first 6 months, I used to write in diary. I didn't have this laptop, so I used to keep this everything in paper. So I used to do this by manually. But now there are so many software, and I told you, Final Draft and Celtex is two great software for screenwriting.
I think your suggestion would be highly grateful for us because we as writers, I think one of the most important problem I face is that I don't have a particular format. I know that format is not important, but when you want to like sell your writing or something, you need a particular format to read and everything. So that's great. And in continuation with the previous question, the format, how do you get into to the creative flow? One of the things that you mentioned was that you observe and you research, but how do you actually put your thoughts onto the script and make it into something that is pleasing to the audience?
Mhm. Okay, so it has a debate in this question. Like it's been a long debate in the industry. So like the debate is, if you write something, you write for the audience or you write for yourself. So it's been a
Yeah.
long debate in this field. So if I'm writing for client or some people who wanted me to write, so I follow those things. Like it has to be some certain things in that order. So um, I think it's a debatable question, but what I feel, so if you are working for something, you have to follow their instruction. So like they told me, hey, Ajay, you have to, we have this budget. So if they are spending some budget in the movies, they want some returns also, and returns comes with the audience. So you have to take care of the audience. So like, but when you are writing for something, like you are writing for yourself, like book or maybe some short story for yourself, you can write whatever you want. But if you are writing for people, if you are writing for audience, you have to follow certain things and you have to put audience in your mind whenever you are writing. So yes, it comes with that way. And as I told you, I also write in both ways. Some writings I do for clients, and that way I have to do certain things. Sometimes you don't like something. I was think there was one scene I was working for one client, and there was a movie Mumbai based director, and he approached me and he told me, Ajay, that we have this big budget movie and there are so many good actors working on this film. Ravi Kishan and some very great actors were there, and he asked me to write one scene. So I wrote one scene, I remember, and for me it was the one of the good scenes. And then he told me, Ajay, just remove that part because it's not reflecting the story we want to convey. But for me, I was so sure that this scene will work. But then I had this meeting with DOP and actors also. Then I understood that, Ajay, you are writing not for yourself. You have a huge audience and they are putting a lot of budget in it. So you have to understand whom you are writing for. So yes, you have to be flexible in that way. If you are writing for films, you have to be flexible because your script has to be with so many people. Screenplay is a long process. I think from writing script to finished product in theater, it will take around 2 to 3 years, especially when your production house is not the big ones like the Dharma and the YRF. So if you have small production houses, it will take for sure 2 or 3 years. So you can't write for yourself because so many people put their time, their money, and so many things. So you have to take care of the audience. You have to take care of the wholesome story. So it comes in that way.
Yeah,
So it's
I
a choice actually you have to make.
completely
Hmm.
agree. So, when it comes to your book, Areli and the Grandmother's Magical Garden, how
Mhm.
was the creative flow different while writing a screenplay, and how is it different while writing a book? Would you say that while writing your own book, you actually used your own creative process and wrote it for yourself?
The previous answer I was telling you, it's related with this question, because how I tell you. So I've been writing screenplay from years now, and I wrote. So when you write story, it take around 2 or 3 months, more than 3 months or sometimes. So for that one film I was talking about, it took me 1 year to write. It's been a long process. I wrote for, I think, 4 hours of a script, although in the last it was only 2 hours 30 minutes, but it took so much time. And I wrote for different clients, for different people, for different genres. You know what I feel? So when you write, so it has very a few steps. It start with a screenplay. You put some 3 or 4 months there, then the pre-production starts. So few people attend, like assistant director, musicians there, and actors rehearsal. So they put again 6 months in this part, and then they shoot again for 6 months or 7 months, then shoot. And then after shoot, it's a post-production. It also has like 6 more months, sometimes at over 1 year. So it's been a like 2 or 3 year journey. And when you write something from the day one, and when you see this on the screen after so much time, you find a totally a different things. Like sometimes for a wrote some scene thinking something, and I was thinking because I was imagining putting myself into that character. But when it comes to screen, it has so many things involved in that, like lights there, actors mood, how they portray their dialogues, then this director, what is the director approach. So what I feel, and in films they say, if your script, if your script get in the film like the way you wrote it, it's hardly get it like 30 or 40%. And if you are achieving the 50% visualization in the final product, it's a great thing. So writer has to compromise every time. So whatever you write, most of the chance it will not show it as it you wrote in the screen. It has changed a lot during these periods. I wrote so many things, but when I watched my own work, I felt, Ajay, this is not what I wrote. So it's been happening quite some time. Then I realized, because when I write something, it has so many people involved in it, and I can't expect everyone to think like me. So I wanted to try, like, if I'm writing something, how it should be the end product. How can it be the end product? So then I changed to book. So when you write something in book, readers get the exact your point of view. There is no mediums, there is no steps. So I think book has a more transparent way of writers. And in screenplay, you have to follow certain people. You have to follow DOP's point of view, director's point of view, then actor's point of view, then editor comes, then musicians come. So it changes a lot. But when you write for a book, it's as it is which you wrote. So I think it's more transparent for audience. So that's the one way I decided that I want to write something for me and something from my own. So that's how I wrote this book.
So I think definitely that establishes a very much balance between your artistic vision and how you as an artist want to write, and how you meet the demands of the industry and of the audience. So I think we can wrap up this podcast. It was very informative for everybody.
Mhm.
So one advice I would want, because I am an aspiring writer and I want to write
Mhm.
in different genres. So what advice would you give to aspiring writers who are still like us, who are still navigating our paths, who are still discovering what genre do we want to write in, whether it is theater writing, whether it is script writing, or whether it is just writing, whether it is about writing a book or poetry. So, and how should we go through the challenges? So, if you can share an advice about it.
I think what you want to write. If you want to write a book or film, I think it's a personal choice. And as we say, if you want to write something, first you have to read a lot of things because you understand what is the writing. So I won't suggest someone, you should have to write for films or you should write for theater or any other medium. I think it's a personal choice. But as you told me that writing films then books, so it has also its drawbacks. I tell you how. So when you write for a screen, they gave you in advance, they gave you money in advance, so you are kind of assured that you have this money, so you don't have to worry for your bills, you don't have to worry for other things, you just keep writing. It can be month or 6 months, you don't worry about these things because you have money in your hand to use. But when you write for books, it's challenging because you don't know your book gonna sell or not. You have to have trust in yourself. So I think it's a bold move for writing book because you don't have a surety. In films, either you don't have a work, but if you have a work, you have money because they pays you. And in screenwriting, people pays you a good money. But in books, it was a tough decision because when you write for books, although it's take the same time, more than same time, like it's the last book I wrote, it took me 1 year, but for that 1 year I didn't have any money from the book. So you have
Hmm.
to have faith in yourself. So it's a big leap, in yourself, to you, if you believe that your writing, your book can sell. So I think it's a trust you have to show yourself. So for new writers, I think it comes with the help. If you want to write something, so I think there are few things which I ask myself, that why I'm writing this book. So when I started writing this book, the first thing in my mind was why I'm writing this book. So it's a children book, and I love children, and I think the children is the base how we want to see the society in coming years. So I wanted to make this change, and you have to pay for it. In a way, in your time, you have to pay for your time. It's a exhausting time writing a book. I think it takes a lot of things from you. And unless the book gets sold out, or it gets a bestseller, you have a long journey for this. So it's a challenging work. And but yes, one thing is sure, it makes you happy every day, it makes you excited, and it gives you so many things which you can't find anywhere. So I think these things makes you have to choose. You want your comfort or you want your happiness, and happiness can be different in many ways. So yeah, people has to choose yourself. And then first, if you write something, I think it start with the reading.
Yeah.
So whenever someone asks me, hey, I want to write something, I ask him, like, what kind of reading, what kind of books you read, what kind of stories you read. So it's a very important thing. So if you want something, I think you have to read first to understand the things. So this is how I will tell people. What about you, Purvi?
Great.
If you tell me about theater writing, and how you develop one character in theater, because see, I'm so interested in theater, and I've been trying to, work writing my first play, but there is a totally a different world and different things. So how when you write for play, what things you put minds, and when you writing something for play?
So I think when it comes to play or when it comes to any type of writing, the process kind of remains the same. So so I haven't written like a proper theater play. We are yet to write it, but I had like a very formulated idea in back in my undergrad days. So so I got a idea when I was observing pretty random things. So in Delhi, there is a place called Mandi House where all the theater artists
Yeah,
are there. So
I've been there. Yes, yes.
yes, so whenever I used to go there, there would be some idea that would arise in my mind, or some question that would make me go like, why am I getting this question? There would be more people who would be getting a question like this, and what if I answer this question through my art? This is how I come to the idea. Then regarding the descriptions and so regarding the descriptions of the characters and everything, so one of the important thing to keep in mind is the accessibility of how the characters can be. So when it comes to set, the set can be very broad, but when if you are a person who has to take their set from one place to another, it should be feasible. Similarly, when it comes to characters, the characters can be well versed, they can have very elaborative costumes, but but when they have to walk from here to there, when they have to interact with the audience, or when they have to interact with the artist, for with the other artist itself, it should be feasible for them. Then I think theater is mostly based on how you are in your everyday life. So if I have a character who is from Bihar, to get that accent, that Bihari accent in that actor is very important. So if I am an audience and I am from Bihar and there is a person who is enacting a Bihari accent in front of me, I would be able to guess it if they are actually acting it out, or if they are actually submerged in the accent and they are doing it. So it is very important, like whatever your character is, they are well versed with what they are well versed with the past of the character, where they come from, what happened in their family background, what is their background when it comes to study. That plays an important role. So I think that would be it, like when it comes to character development in theater.
Okay, and do you follow any kind of software in theater play?
No,
Like
no,
in
not
screenwriting, there are certain.
not as of now. We I haven't yet explored also. So what I used to do is I used to read a lot of plays, and then with the format I just figured it out, like how it should be. So I haven't used any software as such, but I would love to know about it, and I would definitely search about it.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Purvi.
Thank you, sir. So I think we can conclude the this podcast. It was extremely helpful for me, and I think it would be extremely helpful for others as well, because screenplay is something that we are not really well versed with, and most of us want to write for OTT or for screenplays.
Hmm.
So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for helping us with this.